Bitcoin soaring above 45,000 for the first time since April of 2022 as anticipation for the Bitcoin spot ETF approval drives optimism. Joining me now, marketgauge Managing Director Michelle Snyder. Michelle, some firms are expecting Bitcoin to hit 50K and go above it, maybe as early at the end of this week, but then you've got predictions of volatility that it is going to go above 50, then it could go back down to 35. I mean, this has been the problem with Bitcoin from the start.
Well, yeah, definitely. We never really looked at 50 as a target, not that it would be such a great surprise if it got there. More like 47, which we're really close to, because it actually could happen where the spot ETF can be a sell factor, and all of this has been in anticipation of that happening. And there are a few other events that are also giving favor to Bitcoin. Clearly, obviously, interest rates being one, but there is news about Ethereum, an IPO coming out with some of the stable coins. Of course, the halving of Bitcoin in April will probably be the biggest headline because it will increase the scarcity of Bitcoin. But for now, from a purely technical standpoint, you're absolutely right, Cheryl. It is an extremely volatile instrument. And I think chasing it up here would probably not be as logical as waiting for some kind of dip. Maybe not 35, maybe we get to 40, maybe even 37. But we're basically aside here right now after making some nice moves and looking at it more as an active investment as opposed to a passive investment.
Okay, yeah, that's good advice. Let's talk about the EV market right now, because you've got these new rules that came out last month, and it targets the battery components that use certain Chinese-made parts. And these new regulations coming in, this brings the number of EV models eligible for that $7,500 tax credit down to just 13. And we're already seeing interest in EV vehicles from the consumer fall. So how do we play the sector and these stocks?
Well, actually, if you are anticipating any kind of market correction and you wanted to go short, let's say, or at least liquidate some of the longer standing positions like in Tesla, this would be a good time to think more bearish in the EV space, not only for what you said, but there's some other areas that have put pressure on it. One is we know that there's a tremendous inventory of used cars and EVs that people aren't buying. The sticker price is still really, really high. Two is the price of gas has come down, and there's definitely been a correlation between people rushing in fear of higher gas prices to buy EVs. Tesla as the sweetheart trade, even after all the upgrades, is back down under 250. I think there's some issues there. And essentially, I think what we also learned, and we're just still in the winter, is that when weather gets crazy, the infrastructure, we lose power. We cannot charge our batteries, even though most of it happens at home. The infrastructure is still really, I think, weak in terms of what people would expect, especially if you compare it to gas stations, as far as being able to power up the EVs. So where the mania was so great, it's kind of like all manias, going into the mania, there's a lot of buying and a lot of frenzy. And then when reality hits, then things start to normalize. And I think what we're seeing right now in the EV space is normalization and possibly lower prices all around.
All right, Michelle, thank you so much for being here. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Cheryl.
All right, well, the smash and grab epidemic has crippled retail.